I'm Lauren with IndoorGardening.com, and today we're going to talk about purposeful pruning. Purposeful pruning is the act of shaping your plant through trimming and pruning in order to get a desired look. It is also the act of maintaining a specific look for your plants. The basics of pruning are very, very simple. You just need some shears, you need something to sanitize, usually isopropyl alcohol and some type of rag to sanitize those shears so that way you're not spreading any diseases to your plants. Also, you will need the plant that you want, and then you will need the idea of how you want your plant to be growing. So the shape of the plant, your long-term desired outcome for this plant. In order to properly fully develop your plan, you will have to research your plants and figure out its growth pattern so that way you know exactly where to cut, when to cut, and how to cut in order to get your plant to grow the way you want it to. All plants have a different way of growing, so it really just depends on the type of plant that you are trying to grow. And it needs to be narrowed down a little more than just philodendron in general. It has to be a philodendron micans or a philodendron Burley Marx. It needs to be a little bit more narrowed down because every single individual type of plant will grow a certain way. So we're going to get you started on that today with 5 basic popular plants and how they grow and how you can prune them to shape them how you want. So the first plant up on our list is Philodendron Burley Marx. Philodendron Burley Marx, when you trim them, you trim the top cuts and then they will push out more growth from the bottom. So if you want a very, very bushy Burley Marx, then you want to trim it quite a bit. So when it has new growth and it starts getting a little bit leggy, then you want to cut it back in order to keep it compact and have a nice shaped plant. If you want a longer, more full, more mature leaved Philodendron Burle Marx, then you want to give it some type of a pole to climb. And when you make those top cuts, you want to make sure that it's the next node that's activated and you want to keep it kind of close to the top. You also want to make sure that it is starting to get really leggy before you start chopping it. Because if it just gets a few leaves on it and you chop it, you're going to make it more compact and bushy instead of leggy and with mature leaves. Next up we have Tradescantia. Tradescantia grow very, very quickly. They tend to get very bare on the top, so in order to get a very full plant, you do want to trim the ends of these plants. You want to then take the ends and put it back in the top of the plant, but what is happening to the plant when you trim those ends is actually telling the plant at the base to make more new growth. So not only will the base of the plant be filled up with the propagation that you just put in there, it will be told to make new growth and have new growth coming from the base as well. So you will have a much more full and bushy plant, and that's going to trail very nicely for you, and it's going to be a lot more compact for you as well. Fitonia tend to get really, really leggy. If you like this, that's perfectly fine. There's no need to trim it whatsoever. But if you would like a more bushy and more compact plant, you want to give it more light and you want to trim it. So you want to cut it all the way down at the base and then let it grow 2 shoots. And then trim those top 2 shoots off when they start pushing out a 3rd layer, and then let those divide into 2 as well, and then continue on this trend. Fittonia have a very particular growth set in the sense that their leaves will be in a horizontal pattern, and the next set will be in a vertical pattern, and then a horizontal pattern, and then a vertical pattern. So if you plan it just right with your cuts and the way you're cutting them, you can have a very full bushy plant in just a few cuts instead of having to continuously prune it back. This is also great for terrariums. Because Fittonia are a very great terrarium plant, you can add a lot of color to a terrarium with just one little cutting through purposeful pruning. Another popular plant that we wanted to make sure to talk about is String of Hearts. String of Hearts, also known as Ceropegia woodii. There is a variegated and non-variegated form out there. They are heart-shaped and tend to trail and vine. You will see these huge cascading curtains of this plant, and the way they get those huge cascading curtains is by pruning at the very, very top of the plant. You want to leave one node left on that rooted cutting in the plant, and then take the rest off. Then you want to divide that up and you can put it in the top of the pot or you can propagate it elsewhere. But what you do when you trim it right there is it's going to tell the plant to divide into two. So it will make two vines from that one vine that you just chopped. And then you will go and you will do the same thing again. You will chop those two vines that have grown from that, and it will grow two more vines from that. And you will have a very, very full, very curtain-looking plant in no time, because these are very fast-growing plants. So definitely fantastic for you. There are lots of different varieties of trees out there, but today we're just going to be focusing on the three most popular houseplant varieties. They are Aurelia, Ficus, and the Norfolk Island Pine. All three of these trees, when you take a top cutting of them, you just snip off the top. You can then propagate that top, and by cutting off that top, it will tell that tree to create more new growth at the base for you, so you can have a bushier, wider tree. And these trees are very fast, very easy growers, so as soon as they get enough bushiness for you, or if they start to look like they are getting too long and not having enough new growth for you, you can then take another top cut. You can also trim on a particular side, and that will grow more growth on that particular side for you, depending on the type of tree as well. There's lots of information out there. If one of these three types of trees is not it for you, there are plenty of trees out there and plenty of information. Be sure to check out indoorgardening.com for more information. We're always happy to help. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!